Mould and damp in every room.
I don't have people visiting me because as soon as you open the front door, they can smell it.
It's just depressing.
It's a horrible place to live.
Poor conditions in social housing are rife. It's thought that over 500,000 social homes in England do not meet basic health and safety standards. Here, in Bromley, residents are being forced to live with severe damp and mould.
We moved in, and about 6 months in, we started realising there was damp and mould. Obviously, I started calling the housing association. I also started calling Bromley Council, but I would go to one person and they'd say, go back to that person, and then go to that person, go back to that person. So it was like literally going around in circles. Mould and damp in every room, just black and green stuff all over the house.
Repairs have now been carried out at Kirsty's home. However, she says that a representative from the Housing Association has told her that there will always be structural problems with the property. Over at neighbour Sharon's, mould has taken over.
The problem started, I think, as soon as we moved in. A lot of problem with mold and damp, and I had to throw away a lot of property. And I'm also thinking it's also affected the health. At night I can't sleep because I'm literally coughing. I have no clue why I'm coughing. I don't have people visiting me because as soon as you open the front door, they can smell it.
Next door, Christine is plagued by damp and leaks. She says she fills a dehumidifier several times a day.
When it was raining, I heard water pouring near the dishwasher and the washing machine. So I put my phone there, took footage, and you could hear the water running down and disgusting mould behind there. And then I went outside and filmed water pouring out of the drain pipe.
The link between health problems and poor housing has long been recognised. But new research by Dr. Amy Clair has confirmed that bad living conditions can have an alarming impact on a tenant's physiology.
Can you tell me what you found when you were doing that research?
Yes, so we did some analysis on some survey data that included some biomarker information, which is information about people's different things going on in their blood. So we looked at C-reactive protein, which is an indicator of stress and infection, and we compared that to people's different housing experiences, housing situations and so on. And we found that different housing experiences, so things associated with poorer conditions, housing stress, affordability issues, quality issues, all these things were associated with higher levels of C-reactive protein, so worse health. So not only are we seeing conditions, so things like asthma or infections, we're actually seeing people's blood markers change in response to their housing situations.
Academic research should be a warning for policymakers. But back in Bromley, these findings come as no surprise to the tenants, who told us that they are severely struggling with illness, as well as the psychological toll of living in homes that they say are not fit for human habitation.
It's made me really, really down. I'm on antidepressants, under the doctors. It's a horrible place to live. It makes me feel like, suicidal. It is. And I'm on medication, high medication, and nothing's done.
The Hyde Group told it takes complaints very seriously and encourages all tenants to get in touch to report issues within their home. But the problems extend beyond this estate. A few miles away, in a property also managed by Hyde, we met Mr. Etienne Cromer and his unpaid carer, Carly. Mr. Cromer is disabled and autistic. He has been living in dire conditions for years.
I moved in here the 4th of February 10 years ago after being in intensive care after that accident. The problems I noticed, the mould and the damp come through maybe the first 3 months of my tenancy. Lost access to my child, my daughter, because I could never have my daughter here. Can't touch the walls. My daughter's autistic like me.
And disabled.
And she's also disabled. Can't cook for her.
You can't bath her.
I can't bath her because I can't even get in the bath because I'm supposed to have adaptations. It's just horrendous.
You can't take your medication.
I can't take my meds because I can't cook because I need to be able to eat to take my medication. I can't keep nothing down. Almost pretty much all the time coughing. It's just depressing. You know, you open your cupboard and you want to put something on and it's mouldy, or you want to eat something and it's mouldy. And no one, certainly not the landlord, gives us stuff. You pay your rent, never been in arrears, never been in any trouble, get on with everybody. But this house, the whole house, gets treated like we don't exist by Hyde. And then they say to me, why don't we exchange it? Who is going to want to exchange this?
Angela Wilkins is a Labour councillor who has been advocating for him.
What we've got here is somebody who's living in completely unacceptable conditions, and I've been working, I'm the local ward councillor for Crystal Palace, Labour councillor, and I've been working for 3 years now to try and get this gentleman rehoused. The council officers tell me there's nowhere to rehouse him to. He's a complex case, I understand that. He has a physical disability, mental health issues, but it's just, this is completely and utterly unacceptable. The crux of the issue, I think, is a fairly simple one. We do not have enough adequate social housing. Years ago, Thatcher, Right to Buy, we lost a lot of council housing. Bromley transferred their housing stock to the housing associations. Housing associations at the moment, have major problems getting the maintenance and the repairs done, and major problems communicating adequately with their tenants. And the situation is just, in this day and age, is just unacceptable.
Hyde apologised for the failure to resolve Etienne's situation and claimed they will work closely with him to resolve his issues. The tenants we spoke to have been living in these circumstances for years. Dr. Amy Clair says that this is because poor conditions, which overwhelmingly affect lower-income people in this country, are being swept under the carpet.
There's this perception that because we don't have Victorian-style slums anymore that things are sorted, but people are living in slum-like conditions.
Something has to give. People are living in squalor. The government set out proposals to increase consumer regulation in the Social Housing White Paper back in 2020. They reiterated that commitment earlier this year, but as yet, there is no timetable for reform. People living in poor conditions cannot afford to wait.